Volume 3, Chapter 3, it's Brawl in the Family. Definitely an awesome episode, of course. We finally got to see both Winter and Qrow going at each other. We officially see Winter. We saw Qrow just drinking, and that's basically a part of his character is that he's always drunk. Even Glinda said it, and everyone kind of looks at him, and it's like, oh, here's, my little flask. But I love this episode, because not only was this awesome, but of course, they kind of, mess with my brain, because we already had to wait a week, so then it's like, if we didn't have to wait last week because of the whole live stream and everything, we would be watching Coco and Yatsuhashi versus Mercury and Emerald, which I cannot wait to see, because this is, finally it's just like, all those characters we have, here's them fighting. Everybody is going to be fighting, or at least most of them. We're going to see, like, I don't know, like 80% of the main characters fighting now, and like the important teams, bunch of random teams. Like we haven't even had characters we know fight other characters we know. It's all been like, oh, here's Team Sun versus this all-girl team we've never seen before. And it's just cool seeing that. It's like, here's random teams coming in. Here are the characters we want to see fight. So it's like, it's just an awesome episode, and then it's like, crap, like now it's an insane tease. But it's really fun. It was a great episode. It brought up a ton of questions, of course, because it's like, okay, we get the introduction of this character named Autumn, who's in some condition. Don't know what that means. Probably bad. There's someone who's actually a spy working for Ironhide, which should be interesting. I don't know who it is. I was reading some comments. Someone mentioned that it was probably Neo. I don't know. I don't know if I think Neo was a spy working for them. It could be the case, though, but I personally, I prefer she wasn't a spy, because I like her and Roman as a duo, because they're both, not only, do they complement each other as characters, because she's basically mute and he's the sarcastic, funny guy, but also they dress very similar. They have like that old style of dress, so hopefully she's just that character and that's just her. But there's someone who's a spy. There's an infiltration now, like Cinder ends up having a link to Ironhide is basically all control over the festival now, and she can pick whatever fight she wants to. So I don't know how that's going to play out. I think that's going to lead to some interesting stuff. I think she's going to decide. Odds are, unfortunately, I think Mercury and Emerald will win. So I feel like she's going to choose one of them to go up against whoever gets picked from Team RWBY. So I'm looking forward to that. Like, if she can manipulate it, of course. I'm really looking forward to that. I hope that's the case, because I want to see them officially, take each other on, at least in a friendly context, and then, like, oh, you guys are the villains. Then we get, like, the full-on battle, which they've teased for 2 seasons now, because they did that in the opening of the last season, and they've done it this season, and they just switched out one of the characters, because it's Adam instead of Roman now. And we haven't seen Roman. I want to see Roman come in, and we didn't get too much in Neo. She was, like, in that little glimpse of a scene. So I want to see both of them have a big part in this episode, or in this season, and really come up sooner rather than later. But Qrow was really awesome. He was really silly. Like, I think my favorite thing was when he first insulted Winter, and of course, Weiss thought he was talking to her because he says, "Hey, Ice Queen." That I loved, and he's like, not you, and he just like pushes her out of the way, like, just get out of my face. It's like, I'm talking to you. I love that scene. It was just really funny. It was a great callback joke, and then it was just even funnier because he's like, he just pushes her head down at first, and it's just like, shut up, and just keeps on keeping on. Love the fight scene. It wasn't as personal as I would have loved, because I always love like the hand-to-hand stuff, but it was definitely awesome. It was probably one of the biggest, as far as like area-based fights. It's one of the biggest. It seemed like that was even bigger than the arenas they've been fighting in. Like, they were jumping all over the place. So it was really cool to see them have like a change of locale in this really open space. And also, we never get to see like a giant use of the open space in front of the academy. So that was also really cool, because most of this episode was like in the front opening area, and we never really get that. It's like, oh, they're at the ships or something, but this was like, they're at the ships, they're actually walking down the long pathway. Then we get the big fight scene, and they're jumping all over the place. They actually went up on top of like the columns and stuff. It was actually really cool that they used that space, because we never see them utilize it outside of like, oh, someone's in this area, and then they talk for like 2 minutes, and then it goes somewhere else. This whole episode, it's like such a minor thing, but it was really cool to me that they were in this area for so long. So that I certainly enjoyed. Got to see a ton of awesome powers. I don't know what the deal was with Winter's abilities. where she made like those little icebergs, but that was really cool. And she made those. Qrow does like sort of a air like dash type of thing, and it shoots like way across, to attack her. So that was really cool. I don't know what type of super strength he has, because basically his whole thing just bends down, and he has a gun coming out sideways. I'm like, that has to be the heaviest thing in the universe. But it was really cool. Mercury called it a scythe at the end, but it was more like just a regular blade. I'm pretty sure he was turning it into the scythe when he was doing whatever that weird like clockwork thing was going on, which is really awesome, and he does that. And of course he saw Ironhide and it was just like, oh, let me do this. I think it's Ironside. I keep saying Ironhide, which is a transformer. But he saw him, so he ends it, and everyone's like, oh, I had the same reaction, like, oh, what the heck? I wanted to see exactly what was about to happen, because he had like sort of a Renji thing from Bleach going on, which was really awesome. But that was cool. Winter's blade, her thing actually like separating into a smaller blade, was really cool. And what I love about it is that, okay, she has a rapier, but it's in the shape of a katana, like the curve is in the shape of a katana. And when she separates it, that's just like a samurai. Like you have one katana and then you have a shorter blade, which I can't think of the exact name of. I think it's called like a kaito would be like the katana, and then the daito is the smaller blade. So I was like, that's really cool how they did that, because it's in the hilt is like the design of a rapier and how she uses it, but the blade itself is like the form of a katana, and when she separates it, it's like that's a very samurai type thing, but it's a rapier hilt at least. And that was just really cool. I was like, that's kind of cool how they blended those two together. And it was nice to see her use her abilities, and it just showed like how similar she and Weiss were, and obviously they're sisters, but it does show that because this is something they've never really talked about, but semblances clearly based on that does go through the entire bloodline. So maybe there's some people who can get the semblance, some people won't, but in this case both of them got it. So that was something pretty cool. Just like a little, that's one of the things I like about the show. It gives you like, it's like, oh, this thing happened, and then it's like, huh, well, they never really talk about it, so it just kind of leaves us to speculate. So I guess semblances is just like a bloodline thing, and it kind of just travels through each generation. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Qrow's is, because he's already a cool fighter. I definitely can't wait to see how he fights when he's fighting against a bunch of people, because that was just like one enemy. But I feel like they're going to give us like, he's going to be super drunk, and then he's going to have to pull it together real quick. I feel like that's inevitable, so I want to see that. The reactions, of course, were really good in this episode. Weiss seeing her sister was really funny. Winter, as a character, back and forth. It was really weird, because at first, like, even when she was on the ship, Weiss seemed like, she was super freaked out, but then in this episode, she was happy to see her sister, and I think those alternating reactions kind of complement Winter's alternating personality, where it's like, oh, Weiss is like, excuse me, she's like, I'm so happy to see you, and then she's like, oh, we're honored and graced by your presence, and then Winter was kind of mean. She's like, oh, you won, but I kind of like 3 misses. Like, so what? It's 4 people. I can miss at least three misses. That's nothing when you're fighting against 4 people. That's not even 1 per person. So that's how I'm looking at it. But it was like she was kind of mean in that regard. And then she was like, well, how are you doing? And then, Weiss goes into the whole thing. And then she hits her in the head. And then it's like, I don't care about, your rank and this and that. But then it went into like a very maternal sense, where it's like, I meant, how are you doing as a human being? Are you eating healthy? Are you making friends? Are you happy, basically? And it's like, well, you didn't care about the school stuff, and you hit her, but it was super caring, because you want to know how she is doing just as a human being. It's like, it's conflicting, how she was acting, but I liked it. And then, of course, the fighting, very clear. It's like, once you start saying certain stuff that's classified, which everything is, even how long she's staying, she'll get a little pissed. And so, of course, we had an awesome fight scene. But it was a great episode. It, like I said, brought up some questions. The whole autumn thing, I'm not sure. I highly doubt it, but maybe, well, it couldn't be, because I guess we already saw Yang's mother, so that wouldn't be her name, and they wouldn't, or maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe something's wrong, and we don't actually know. Who knows? But I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I don't think that's her name. I think they gave her, I think Yang's mother has a name already, so it's not Autumn. But there's someone that's in trouble. I don't know. There's apparently all this secret stuff that's happening. Someone is actually a spy within the group already. The villains. I can't think of the actual name of the Faunus group anymore, but they're in that group and with Mercury and all that stuff. So there's a spy in there. Things aren't exactly going to be easy anymore because now Cinder is hacked into basically everything. She has like all of the army under her control now, at least, tech wise, which basically means all of it because they do have the robots in this episode. They were talking about them last time. We saw them a little bit in the last season, and it was mostly during the Penny RWBY episode. So they are officially complete, everything said and done. They were walking around as just natural guards. So those are settled. Who knows if we're going to get those giant mechs that we got from last season, because they already screwed up and had some of those stolen. So I'm not sure how that'll play out, if they like up the ante on security or what we'll see from the big side of things. But the little everyday bodyguard mechs are officially completed. So that was pretty cool. They clearly can't take on anyone because Qrow just walked up behind them and they just noises and poof, a head came off. Not the best bodyguards, but he is also Qrow, so I guess that's fair. But I certainly enjoyed this episode. I can't wait to see this fight because like I have it paused. I always have it planned when I do these reviews now because there's always something to just randomly look at that's really entertaining. But I can't wait for this fight for the next episode. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it should be entertaining. I would have loved to have seen Velvet, but obviously with her like weird sort of magical Pandora's box, we aren't going to see that till like, if we even get it this volume. We probably won't get it till the end, which I really hope we do, because based on the opening, things are going to get really, really bad and tragic, and they'll need like a surplus of magic out of nowhere, so hopefully we'll get to see that. But I'm looking forward to this next episode. Of course, though, I want to know, what you guys thought about this one. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I just want to know what you think about both Qrow and Winter for this episode. It was mostly about them, and honestly, mostly about them fighting. It was basically a long fighting episode, which was actually really awesome. But we got some personality traits, new personality traits outside of Qrow being drunk. The reactions, of course, like he's a really cool uncle. He's like the really awesome uncle because Ruby's like super happy to see him, and he even says like, "Oh, I didn't miss you," and then he like rubs her head and stuff. So he's obviously like the really cool uncle. They even do a fist bump, which is like, I don't know. I don't do that with my uncle, so it's just like that's a very relaxed sort of thing. Which when you're drunk all the time, you probably relax. But I want to know what you guys think about their characters. I like them both. Can't wait to see their later interactions, because I don't think it's going to get any better, to be totally honest. But I'm certainly looking forward to it. Love their weapons, too, because like, I'm going through it again. If I had to pick, I'd definitely choose Qrow's weapon, just because it's like a giant blade. And it makes me think, based on how it looks, it really makes me think of the Red Queen from Devil May Cry 4, which is, if that doesn't help, it's the one that has like the engine on it, and it has like a trigger and everything. So it's very similar to like a RWBY weapon. It just doesn't change. But I don't know. I like both characters. Like I said, though, I want to know what you guys thought about them. So please comment below, let me know. And thanks for watching.